and this is a Black Pixie political moment. And Yvette has been talking about the Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee and Afro Synergy, T West Afro Synergy. He's been explaining what Yvette has been sharing about Sheila Jackson Lee and the fact that she is not ADOS. So I decide I will look it up and see if she ADOS. She just looks like a typical black woman to me. Well, anyway, let's get into what the Wikipedia has to say. It says Sheila Jackson Lee, born January 12, 1950, so that makes her 10 years older than me, is an American politician. She is currently the U.S. Representative for Texas, 18th Congressional District, currently serving in her 13th term in the House, having served since 1995. The district includes most of central Houston. She is a member of the Democratic Party. Okay, so now that's who she is. So, since she is said not to be ADOS, so we're going to look at her early life education. And according to the Wikipedia, it says Jackson Lee was born Sheila Jackson in Queens, New York. Her parents were both immigrants from Jamaica. So she is the same as Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris' dad is immigrant from Jamaica, and her mom is Indian from West India, I guess. And it shows, and Sheila Jackson is, both her parents are from Jamaica. Therefore, she is not ADOS, she is not Black American. She is immigrant American, and I don't know if she's African American because I suppose Jamaica's in Africa. But Jamaica is a country, I suppose. Let me see a little bit to show about Jamaica. Well, it's not saying what. Okay, Jamaica is an island country situated in the Caribbean Sea, spanning 10,990 square kilometers, 4,240 square miles, 40 square miles in area. It is the third largest island on the Greater Antilles and the fourth largest island country in the Caribbean. So Jamaica is a country. Jamaica lies about 145 kilometers, 90 miles, south of Cuba, where we were supposed to be going this year, but all these trips outside of America to these countries has been canceled. Okay, I'm doing a video. I don't need that music in my video. I guess. And my granddaughter, she always downloading these like videos, doing all the young kids, they're into like. So anyway, Jamaica, south of Cuba, and we're supposed to go to Cuba this year. And all the plans were canceled. We was also supposed to go on a cruise to the Caribbean island to St. Thomas. Um, we're supposed to go to Antigua because these are places I've already been. But we was going back to St. Thomas, going back to Antigua, and about we was going to like 6 different places. So those are the two that I'm off the top of my head. All those trips have been canceled out of the United States for whatever they got going on, especially the Dominican Republic, all of those deaths over there. But anyway, which is 191 kilometers. Well, she is from the country Jamaica, an immigrant from the country Jamaica. And in my study of the word immigrant, and it is compared to a word called immigrant, which is Emigrant, immigrant, which are immigrants are people that leave their country and settle in the United States permanently. All of their ties to their country is cut off. So, kind of reminds me of Heaven's Angel. They're in the heavens and then they'll drop down on earth to do whatever, just drop here in this place. Something like that, kind of. Is what comes to my mind while I'm talking about this. Why, I don't know. Or maybe I do. But anyway, immigrants are people that come here for the sole purpose of living here. They bring the ties of their country with them. So, Sheila Jackson is an immigrant, is a child of an immigrant. It's like Obama, but Obama is child of immigrants, a Kenyan father and an immigrant mother. And according to some census paperwork, her grandparents are came here. It, her grandparents, I don't know if they immigrated here or emigrated here, but they're here. But anyway, so we see Jackson Lee. She's a immigrant child who still had ties with her country, Jamaica. And parents moved here, and as Trump would call it, an anchor baby here. I guess to confuse black people, confuse the people that were already here, black people that's already here. Well, we got black people in office, when in actuality, black Americans, as we beginning to see, are not the ones that's in office. It's black immigrants that are here in office, and these black immigrants they move to the black neighborhood, they live there, they grow up, and then bust them, as I did in my last video, bust them to wealthier, whiter schools, and they get their education. Why? But they're here among the ADOS, but they are bused to white schools. I'm beginning to think that's what that integration was all about. It wasn't about integrating black people with white people. It was about um, busing these immigrant children out of the black neighborhood that they moved into, to make sure that those black children get that education that ADOS children would never get, period. But anyway, it says that she graduated from Jamaica High School. She went from Jamaica High School. She ain't even graduated from high school in the United States. In Queens, Jamaica High School. So Jamaica High School is basically a high school specifically for Jamaican children. It's like they have, once you get me, I'm going there. They say she earns a bachelor's in political science from Yale University in 72, followed by JD from the University of JD, followed by a Juris Doctor degree, also known as the Doctrine of Jurisprudence degree, and sometimes erroneously rendered as Juris Doctorate. Is a graduate entry professional degree in law, and one of entry professional degree in law, read that already, and one of several Doctor of Law degrees. The Juris Doctor, which I never heard of before this, is earned by completing the law school in Australia. So we see where she got her education. So back to integration. The so the so the city they're having an argument over there. My grandkids are here. Anyway, so we see with the integration that started in, like I guess, in 68, 69, the integration wasn't about integrating black people, ADOS, into white schools and then what it wasn't about that. It was about white schools, black schools, picking the, the immigrant children of these people who still have ties to their own country because they are immigrants, not immigrants who who give up all their ties to their country, which are those immigrants that came back in the early 50s, 40s, those immigrants who were white people who grew crops, who sharecropped with the newly freed slaves. So now, the schools, these immigrant children whose parents still have ties to the country they come from, such as Jamaica, are bussed out of the black neighborhood and bussed to the whiter, wealthier schools, and thereby getting an education that Sheila Jackson had, which is impressive. 1989, she won the at-large position for a seat in Houston City Council, serving under until 94. While on the City Council, Jackson Lee helped pass a safety ordinance that required parents to keep their guns away from their children. That's a given. Black people didn't have guns like that, so there was no law that made black parents keep guns from their children because they didn't own guns like that, especially coming out of slavery. It was a law against them owning guns. But I guess with the Black Panther, them having all their guns, well, we see where that went. She also worked for expanded summer hours of city park at city parks and recreation center as a way to combat gang violence. So she worked there to keep guns away from children, and she worked for expanding some keep guns away from children. The way to keep guns away from black children would be to just not drop them in the neighborhood. Not take all the jobs out and drop guns in your neighborhood. That would be a good way to do that. So anyway, now this is just her job. I'm not going to read all of this because my only goal here was to find out who is Sheila Jackson Lee, because as I watch, I guess as I move around these YouTube streets, I hear things and a question automatically appears. Sheila Jackson Lee is not ADOS. Okay, she's not ADOS, so who is she? Now we know who Sheila Jackson is. She is a child of immigrant parents who moved here with all ties to their country, moved into the black neighborhood, and during integration time, these children were bussed out of the black neighborhood, leaving the ADOS sharecropper, descendants of slave children there, getting defunded education while she moved to the white community getting the education put in place for white families only. White and white. It wasn't about income back then because poor white children went to all white schools, so they was getting the best education also. But now these things have been split in three. There is the kids now. Kids go to school with black kids, but what I'm seeing is that, especially through some of the kids, when you have black boys mixing with white girls, and you take a note and you pay attention to that. And I realized that though these white kids, they're all mixed in high schools, the white kids get one set of education, while the other black kids in the exact same class get a different education because the lessons is based on what the white kids understand because it's based on that. But the black kids are not getting that same information at home. Therefore, they are what you call set to fail. Because if you're at home and all you know is guns in your neighborhood, no jobs, and drugs, that's all you know. And you don't have TVs back then. You go to school and you learn about something that was put before you. You don't have a clue. So you gotta sit there and learn it. Me, you put it in front of me. Back in school, I learned it. Period. You put it in front of me. Okay, I learned it. It's no big thing. I never seen it, never heard of it. But you put it in front of me, the thing is to learn. But only certain kids were set to be successful. And other kids that are really smart coming out of slavery, even though they are really smart, intelligent, kids that can learn, they are frustrated by the way they are not challenged. They are given, um, what my son called it, BS information. They learn, they don't got nothing to do with life. My son's in college right now. He's going to school because he want better pay. He want to make more than a little $21 an hour he making. And then he got to go to school for that. I think he just turned 27. So it is what it is. But anyway, Sheila Jackson Lee. This is who she is. A child of immigrant parents from Jamaica, the country that she still holds ties to because she's an immigrant. Not. And in this day and time, I won't call her a black immigrant because in this time that we are in the energy that we're dealing with now, it's not about color anymore. Because everybody say, well, I'm black, look at my skin. It's not about color now. She was born on American soil, so that makes her American. And I've been noticing something else too. People like her. What is her? I saw it on here. It says she is an American politician, not black American, not African American, not a black person, but American politician. So ADOS, we are all Americans because she was born here and I was born here. My mama and daddy was born here. Their mama and daddy was born here. My grandma and granddaddy was born here. My great grandma and great granddaddy was born here. And my grandma, my daddy, my uncle, my great grandma, my great granddaddy, my grandma. They're all buried in the same cemetery. My dad just died a couple of years ago, and he's buried right beside my grandma. And my grandma would have been buried beside my great grandma, but that space is already taken, so we just a little further over from there. So they want to say we are African Americans, we are African this. It does not matter. None of that matters anymore because now we are all Americans, period. We are American descendants of slavery that continues on to this day through the Constitution, the 13th Amendment shows that slavery is still here, strong, doing what it was intended to do. So that's it for this video, and I will be back with other videos on different topics.